The gross reproduction rate is the average number of daughters that would be born to a woman during her lifetime if she passed through her childbearing years conforming to the age-specific fertility rates of a given year. The gross reproductive rate is exactly like the total fertility rate, only that this time we are counting daughters only. In other words, we are measuring reproduction. We are finding out how a woman will reproduce herself in the next generation by having a daughter. The gross reproduction rate is calculated as GRR equals 5 summation of all the age-specific fertility rates. So as you can see, we have the same formula, similar formula. We are adding all the age-specific fertility rates of women aged 15 to 49 and then multiply by 5. Only that this time we are interested in the number of female births only. Earlier on, it was the number of all births, male and female. But under gross reproduction rate, we are interested in the number of female births only. There is another formula which we use to calculate the gross reproductive rate. This formula is total fertility rate over 1 plus sex ratio at birth. Sex ratio at birth is the number of male births divided by female births and multiplied by 100. In other words, the sex ratio at birth tells us the proportion of new births by sex. So the second formula simply tells us that we are calculating the total fertility rate. However, we are scaling it down to the proportion of female births. That's what is being referred to here. The weakness of the gross reproduction rate is that it assumes no mortality for women and their daughters during childbearing age. However, we know for sure that both mothers and their daughters die during the childbearing period. We therefore have the net reproduction rate that adjusts the gross reproduction rate by taking into account mortality. And just an exercise, you go in the library and find resources that will tell you that there are social, economic, legal, and technological factors that are responsible for high birth and fertility rates. So, in an essay form, discuss these factors that are responsible for high birth and fertility rates. And just for argument's sake, here in Africa, we have a social factor, that of cultural. All along, repeating from the word exercise. Now you have an exercise. Exercise is to discuss social, economic, legal, and technological factors that are responsible for high birth and fertility rates. Also discuss social, economic, legal, and technological factors that are responsible for the falling birth and fertility rates. You will now be given an example illustrating how the age-specific fertility rate, the general fertility rate, the total fertility rate, and the gross reproduction rate are calculated. We are going to assume that the sex ratio at birth is 1.03. So normally, you'll be given a table. Information in column 1 will be given to you. These are age groups from 15 to 19 to 45 to 49. This information you'll be given. You'll also be given this information about the number of women who are in this reproductive age, and then you'll be given the number of births born to these women in this childbearing period. So we are going to start with the age-specific fertility rates. For you to find the age-specific fertility rates, you simply divide this number by this number, and then you do the same for the rest of the columns. So you simply divide 25,785 by 1996.54, and remember, because it's per 1000 here, so don't forget to include 1000. So using your calculators, you should be able to find these results. These are age-specific fertility rates. And to find the general fertility rate, we simply have the number of total births divided by the number of total women in the childbearing ages. So you simply divide the sum of this column by the sum of this column. Remember, it's per 1000, so you multiply by 1000. So our general fertility rate is 198.3. Remember, the total fertility rate we simply have the sum of the age-specific fertility rates. You remember that summation sign for all age groups starting from 15 to 49. After summing them, you divide by 1000, and because they are in 5-year age groups, remember to multiply by 5. And our total fertility rate is 6.6. You have to prove this using your calculator. We also have the gross reproduction rate. Remember, it is the total fertility rate divided by 1 plus sex ratio at birth. We've been given the sex ratio at birth as 1.03. It's this one. And we've calculated our total fertility rate. So our gross reproductive rate is the total fertility rate divided by 1 plus 1.03, and we are having 3.2 as our gross reproduction rate. So, in other words, out of all these births, this included male and female births, we had these as female births. That's where we end when it comes to fertility measures. We are now going to look at measures of mortality.